in the old world, pre-AI, the getting the data out of a document and putting it into, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet, that was human driven. Better tools to get out of the routine data entry crap that we all have to do. But what I'm really interested is sort of these agentic agents and vibe coding. And AI is not going to replace jobs. It's like the human leveraging AI is going to take the job of the human that's not.
Hello and welcome to The Concrete Voice. I'm your host, Arthur Ambartsumian, your trusted guide through the intersection of real estate innovation and everything that is shaping our industry. And if you've listened to our first episode, you'll recognize today's co-host, Wes Snow, co-founder and CEO of Ascendix Technologies. So earlier this year, we've discussed how AI and technology is transforming commercial real estate. And today we are continuing this conversation, but with a very special guest. And joining us is Jason Berry, Chief Operating Officer of Slatt Capital, one of the nation's leading commercial mortgage banking and capital markets firms. Jason and his team have been early adopters of technology and using it not only for managing the data, but to make smarter and faster business decisions. And we'll talk about how innovation is reshaping capital markets and the challenges of capturing meaningful data and what the rise of AI means for companies like Slatt Capital moving forward. So Wes, Jason, great to have you both here. Jason, can you please introduce yourself to the audience as well as your firm?
Sure, love to. Thank you for that intro. So Jason Berry, Chief Operating Officer of Slatt Capital. I've been here about 10 years. So Slatt Capital is one of the nation's leading commercial real estate mortgage banking firms. What that means is that we help sponsors place debt on their commercial real estate properties. We only do commercial, but we also have a robust set of correspondent lenders that are primarily life insurance companies, but CMBS lenders as well. So we place loan on their behalf. And we have a servicing portfolio of about 5.2 billion, 1,200 loans. Wes's team and your team's helped to, grow our operating platform.
Yeah, that's actually the great story to start with. Wes, maybe you want to amplify on how this collaboration started.
When we arrived on scene, you had already chosen Salesforce as a platform and done some work on that. In the 30 years that we've been consulting and delivering product in this CRM category, there's been always this challenge, regardless of how valuable people perceive these tools to be, of just simply getting data into the system. Not only getting data captured, but also being able to intelligently and intuitively get data out of the system. These are I think, big friction points. And I know, but I want to have you kind of share with the team here what kind of issues you're having with data capture there, maybe specifically in the context of capital markets. What is the data that you most value, but you have the hardest time getting hold of, and what are you doing potentially to overcome those challenges?
The challenge we have is, first of all, it's a very fractured market, right? Data goes into a database, goes into an analog format or a file, and we've exchanged data usually using Excel and a PDF document, an offering memorandum, whatever it is. So that's the problem of capturing that. And that's just the way it's always been, right? And so it's a lease has all of these data points into it, and it has to get to a lender or an investor, and managing that process. In the old world, pre-AI, the getting the data out of a document and putting it into, let's say, an Excel spreadsheet, that was human driven, right? And it took a lot of either expertise or training, and it works fine. Speed makes a difference. I mean, what's the old analogy is that you get 2 out of 3, you get good, fast, or cheap, and you pick 2, right? And so to the extent, and I literally just had a demo of another AI tool up top that was really focused on speed and quality. And so, but now it's not an inexpensive tool in how it's positioning, but it's like if you can take a deal off a street in 2 hours versus getting it back in 3 days, that's really valuable. We have these two sides of our business, which is the revenue side where time is money, and you can pay a premium for that. And then we have a very robust, what I call servicing arm, and we have to process, on an annual basis, as a great example, we have 1,200 loans, and we have to process 1,200 financials and get that information, do it. So, but this isn't like I get 100 financials in and I need to turn them around in 3 days. This is like, oh, I need to get them done in the next 30 days, right? That process is different than, on the production side. So I think AI can help on both of those. And then what I find really interesting is is that there's a fear of like job loss. AI is going to take the job loss. But by far, I did my annual reviews with all my servicing people at the end of last year. And to a T, they all wanted better tools to get out of the routine data entry crap that we all have to do. And so that is a perfect analogy of like, we're not trying to take all of that stuff that used to give it an intern or whatever that you need to do, is that we're going to build tools to make it more efficient for you. Now, you still need to review it.
What we realized and problem that we're ideating on and are eventually going to solve here in the near future is democratizing or unleashing all of that really rich data that resides inside of the inbox and outbox and sent items of today's knowledge worker. Term sheets, quotes, broker's opinion of value, offering memorandums, lease and sale comps, all of which are sitting there in cloud file storage or, as mentioned earlier, inbox and sent item folders, never having been liberated so that the entire organization can benefit from that. AI is perfect for that. And we've talked about that. And I think that right there was an eye opener for us. And I suspect for you as well. And it sounds like you agree on that. I don't know if you have any additional opinions or thoughts on that matter.
I also look at the residential space. I've always done that. I think the residential market's usually 5 to 10 years ahead of commercial. So go see what's happening there. And that's what's going to happen on commercial side. We are more complex in other issues, but the chat GBT type tools are this, where you have to ask it stuff. But what I'm really interested is sort of these agentic agents and vibe coding and some of the stuff you and I have talked about, which is, why does a human have to okay, if I want to abstract a lease as an example, why does a human have to go and upload it into a chatbot and say, extract it in here? And I think we're going to be headed to this world is that to the extent that data comes in still via email, let's use that as an example, is that our AI extraction expert should be looking at everybody's email. And if one of our analysts gets an operating statement or rent roll, they don't need to ask to have it abstracted. Yeah. It automatically does and says, oh, Brett, notice that you did receive a rent roll. It matches this deal I know you're working on. We've pre-abstracted it for you. It's here when you're ready to do it. I've also uploaded it into our rent roll database so you can see it. It should just automatically happen. So I think we're not there yet, but that's a world that we're headed toward.
I agree with you completely. Let's go back to the topic you meant about.
On that note, that was one of the things really interesting in our space is that all that we're talking about is more of an internal solution in terms of every company's doing that, putting it in its own. Now, if we started to talk about how companies can interop with that, it's still to human, and they're like, it's not like I can send it. If I'm working with you as another broker, hey, I'm going to send you a data feed instead of sending a loan offering package and my sizer for you to take a look at, which is an analog file and there's data in there. I'm going to send a digital data feed of what the document that your AI can read, but we're not even in that universe.
Right.
That's a big friction point still. And honestly, the industry has built up that friction because it's so scattered, because there's lots of intermediaries that make lots of money around the friction of real estate. A digital lease is an example. The multifamily people are really focused on, look at all those multifamily is like, how do we get a digital experience around a renter, as an example, especially a new renter? I mean, you and I would, if we went to go rent an apartment, it's like, I want to call a leasing agent, I want an appointment. I want to walk the freaking thing. My son wants to do a digital, at midnight, he wants to go look and do a virtual tour and be able to do it in a chatbot. They want a different experience. So that's going to all come down, and then there'll be more transaction. It'll move our industry forward.
Yeah. Well, clearly you have energy and enthusiasm around AI. And I think at some level you are a believer that this is not a fad, but it's here to stay. And being someone who's an influencer at Slat, tell me a little bit about what you're doing, if anything, to kind of enable your organization, in that you and I as leaders can do some things, but ultimately we need to bring our people through and have them drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak.
What we've done internally, and most of my people are the same way, is they want training. We had 2 interns that worked over the summer. One, it was really fascinating seeing how they work. They use these AI tools without us asking to. Now I have like portfolio managers or analysts that are busy and they're like, hey, I have an idea? Adam, can you help me build this specific tool? And so my premise is we want to build some success there. I know ultimately that these tools are going to get to you 80, 90%. It's sort of good enough for what you pay for. At some point, we want more robust AI workflow tools that are going to take it to that next step. I happen to be talking to a huge institutional owner about their lease abstract. Not one of those investors had a successful lease abstracting pilot. They've all piloted them that would roll it out because it's that last 10%. It's not, hey, I need to get, what the lease start date and the end date, but it's the nuances. Does this tenant have after hour HVAC that's billable? All the stuff that they have to capture. None of it was there. I think these like open AI type tools, Claude, Anthropic, right now with their big model, you're going to get a lot you'll get that last little bit will take more nuance, more dive, but I'm focused on, hey, let's start to build the internal success for that stuff. And then we can start to iterate on the really smart point solutions that may take more investment, but we sort of have to learn ourselves. It's not a general tool. I sort of think I use analogies like an attorney, right? So we all have attorneys in our business, but I don't have one attorney that's an expert on everything. And people think that AI should be an expert on it. So I have an HR attorney, I have a litigation attorney, I have an attorney that drafts, loan agreements. And I think there's a big opportunity in our industry to like get the AI that says like, I'm an expert in saying it's this type of document, but I'm not an expert in underwriting. Just like we send it to humans, analysts are really good at underwriting, and we have those that put packages together. They're not the same people that do my marketing. They're not the same people that the salespeople that go out and pitch that to a lender. So there's different skill sets within our work. So that's sort of how I'm thinking about it.
So you touched on a couple of folks inside your organization. You might even have referenced them as interns here who had the spunk, the curiosity, self-starters, if you will. That doesn't exist in all of our employees, yours or mine. There's enthusiasm from the owner, the managing directors, et cetera, but there's the need to skill up the people, some of which are self-motivated, some of which aren't, and putting in an environment, a safe environment. You also mentioned, though, not trying to boil the ocean with initiatives, but these little micro projects there just to get a quick win and get people exposed to that. One element of that was carving out time and budgeting time for those people to get skilled up on, assuming that we've got curriculum and so forth to point them in front of. Have you even thought about that idea of carving out time to ready you and your organization for more of an AI enablement future here?
We have these trainings that we've done, and we're trying to build like internal AI training that we share with the company. We bring it open, and we'll get 30 to 40 people.
Nice.
We just had my intern talk about, okay, here's the Slatt Capital rent roll abstract or lease abstractor. Here's how it works. We had on a 30-minute call. He's walking through and training people. And there were lots of engagement because they all want to learn this kind of stuff. It's like, okay, where is it? It's not rocket science. I think, how do you get the new generation to learn, like, let's say an analyst? It's been great. It's like most people in the commercial real estate on our side you're an analyst for 3 years. You learn a lot. You're underwriting hundreds of properties. And then you get the rote knowledge. And if AI is doing that, how are you going to learn as a human? So what we've seen now is if the younger people that are AI native working with the OGs that don't want to do that, but they have the knowledge, it's like, well, what kind of tool do you need me to build for you? So they're going to be learning those same skills and prompting and training it to the extent they're doing it. So that's a way where I think that knowledge base versus the tactical work of actually humans learning, I think can help build up their skill sets so they become experienced.
Yeah. Well, Todd and I have than trying to deal with the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that has been generated by artificial intelligence and people just running wild with ideas of, will my role be replaced, et cetera. And I think we've got a firm and I think solid footing on this being a human plus machine type of an approach. Yeah. And the theme being, I don't think AI is wholeheartedly going to replace roles necessarily. There will be instances of that, no doubt about it. But the employee that is subject to being replaced is the one who has an inability to pick up and skill themselves.
AI is not going to replace jobs. It's like the human leveraging AI is going to take the job of the human that's not, right?
There you go.
And then the other thing is like, it is going to replace routine functions like data entry stuff that most humans don't want to do.
Yeah, just hiring better use of resources at this juncture. Get rid of the stuff nobody wants to do anyway, and just have a higher utilized resource there.
Yeah, thanks, Wes. And Jason, reflecting on the conversation today, I just want to ask one more question before we close. But if you would to give someone who is still thinking about any technology, including AI, whether I need to, start with it, adopt it or not, what would be maybe 2-3 criteria that would be essential to make the decision?
Yeah, so I would say if you're on an executive and you're trying to start this journey and know where to start, is like, one is listen to some podcasts that are more advanced AI and some other industries, and then going to like conferences. The last thing, which I think is really important, is like, don't boil the ocean. And if you always go back to working with an individual, whatever business unit is, trying to solve for their smaller little problems. We had a big moment 2 years ago with my servicing team. We got jealous about all these wonderful Salesforce tools we did on the production time, and they had this legacy loan servicing software. They're like, how come we can't get it? I'm like, good, go at it. And then we've spent probably 60, 70% of our resources over the last 2 years addressing the servicing department's need, start to build cases and objects on that. And that's been a wonderful experience.
Thank you for joining us today and for sharing such a practical insights into how technology is transforming the capital markets. And Wes, always a pleasure to have you on the mic. For our listeners, if you found this conversation valuable, and you need to make sure to subscribe to The Concrete Voice. We'll keep exploring how innovation is shaping the world of commercial real estate and beyond. Yeah, until next time, and stay curious, stay bold, and keep making the concrete steps.
Thank you, Arthur. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, sir.